Launched at Cannes last year, this is the new Cranchi Z35. It replaces the Zafiro 34, which is a very popular boat for Cranchi. They sold over 1,500 in a decade. It's a pretty simple formula. It's an open med boat. It's got 2 cabins, twin diesel engines. We've flown out to the Cranchi Marine Test Centre to give it a go. The Z35 is in general a really enjoyable boat to drive. It's got a pair of Volvo Pentas D4 260 horsepower engines, more than enough grunt for this type of boat. She's doing easily over 30 knots, 32 we got today in rough conditions out there. And even more encouraging is that in those rough conditions, she handled them really well. The hull cut through nice and cleanly, and it stayed dry as well. This is a very open boat, and it managed to stay nice and dry throughout the process, apart from maybe a couple of really hard turns. And of course, because of that twin stern joint setup, she's a lovely boat to throw around a bit. Really great in a following sea to have such an agile machine. She doesn't bite or anything like that. She just turns nice and smoothly. Sort of standard fare for a stern drive boat. And yes, as I said, in general, a very nice boat to drive. There are a couple of changes that I'd make to the helm station. I actually like the position a lot. I like that the wheel is nice and close to your chest and that I can easily reach the throttles without having to lean forward. The only thing is all of this white plastic on the helm does mean there's quite a lot of glare when the sun's behind you, so they could do with putting some dark material on the fascia. Another thing is when you bolster the seat, although that's useful, you're actually sitting on quite a hard piece of wood here, so they could do with making that a bit better padded. Though the position's very good, it's not particularly comfortable for longer journeys. Key to the Z35's charms is its cockpit. This is an open boat designed to be used in the Mediterranean in the sun, so this is a place where you, family and friends can all relax, eat and enjoy. The main part of the cockpit obviously is this wrap of seating. There's plenty of it. Cushions are a little firm, but it does mean at least that they're not going to absorb too much water if they get wet. But this is the base of the cockpit and it works really well. Of course you have your wet bar opposite so that you can prepare food up here, and there is a small step up to this part of the cockpit, but it's not too much of an issue. What is quite a nice touch, though it's not fitted on this boat at the moment, is that this table will drop down, the infill cushion folds into 3 and becomes a stool that you can use here and sit at the table, which is quite a nice idea, something we haven't seen before. Nice touch that's fitted to most Cranchis, but it makes a bit more difference when it's on a boat of this size really, is they're fitting the hose into the back of the transom gate. Usually wasted space, but this fits in there nicely and keeps it clear and out of the way. And there are other nice touches as well, like you have a full anchor wash system at the bow, things that you're not likely to get on rivals from say Bavaria or Genoa. Crewing the Z35 is easy too. You can of course pass on both side decks up to the bow, but you can also walk up this teak walkway through the middle and you're very quickly up to what is a nice flat bow where you have the obligatory sun pad. But there are also some nice touches like these built-in fender holders. Fenders on boats of this size tend to take up valuable locker space, so to have dedicated spaces there is really useful. And they also have speakers up here as well, so you can still hear your music when you're sunbathing up on the bow. So that's the decks, but there's a bit of a surprise installed down below as well. Let's go and have a look. That surprise being quite how much space there is down here. For a very cockpit-centric boat, there's a lot of room in the accommodation. Plenty of headroom, as you can see. And though you're not going to be only spending whole days down here in this living area in the saloon, it's fine for a meal if the weather isn't good enough. They've done their best with glazing either side, opening ports, 2 opening hatches in the ceiling, plenty of artificial light as well to make it bright down here. And in terms of cabins, you have a master cabin forward, which has got a nice big double berth. Okay, it's pretty pinched at the end of the bed, but the berth itself is a good size and there's a reasonable amount of storage. Both cabins share a heads, which is to hear it's not en suite to either, but it's there and it's a useful size as well. And then there's a double guest cabin and midships, which you can go and look at now. Though this is designed to be a guest cabin, there's an argument that it could act as the master, especially if you're sleeping on anchor and it's going to be a bit noisier in the bow. This is a very comfortable place to spend the night. You've got a nice big berth that can be turned into 2 single. It's got an infill here so it can quickly become 2 single beds, as well as hanging storage by the door. You also have nice deep drawers here to keep bags or clothes. And you also have nice little touches like this vanity unit here with a mirror and place to keep your cosmetics. Just little touches again that separate it slightly from the competition. And in fact the whole boat down here, the woodwork, the chunkiness of the doors, the latches, everything feels of a really good standard and slightly higher than other boats within the market. Given the success that Cranchi had with this boat's predecessor, it's no surprise that it's so well sorted. This is the type of boat that Cranchi does really well. Now, it's definitely a fair weather boat. You want to be out on a February day in the Solent on it, but in the sun it really does shine. And not only is it a great boat for when the weather's good, below decks there's loads of space and two really good cabins as well. If you're looking at the likes of Geno, Bavaria and even sports boats from across the pond in America, this should be on your list as well.